So in 8.4, we're going to look at basically special products, which just means there's kind of like a shortcut to multiplying certain binomials. So in this case, we're going to look at the square of a sum, which just is a binomial with addition in it, and we're going to square it. And then we're going to look at the square of a difference, which is the squaring of a binomial with subtraction. And then we're going to look at the difference of the two. So one that's difference and one that's adding. So that will be the second video. So in this video, I want to specifically touch upon the square of the sum and the difference. So anytime, and I'm just kind of zooming up on the box at the top of your notes where it says key concepts, where it says a plus b squared. So there's one of two ways we can look at this. We can expand it into repeated multiplication, which is what they have to the right, or we can memorize this really convenient formula that basically helps us get to the answer quicker. And that's what I really want to focus on today. So looking at our first example, so looking at number 1, I want to emphasize that the first term here, that 3x, we call that our a value, the whole thing. And then the 5, that is our b value. And we're going to substitute that into the formula a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And so I'll substitute using parentheses, so 3x, and then I'll square that, plus 2 times the a value and our b value, plus b squared. And it's really that simple. And then from here we just simplify. So I know that 3x squared is 9x squared, plus, and then 2 times 3x is 6x times 5 is 30. And then 5 squared is 25. And that's it. So basically it's that shortcut from, instead of having to, if I wanted to kind of expand this 3x plus 5 and then distribute combine-like terms. So it's really convenient. Looking at number 2, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to say that this is my a value and this is my b value. And I always start by writing the formula because the more I write this, the more I'm going to memorize it. So I highly suggest that you guys do the same thing. And so my a value is 4x, and then I'll square that, plus 2ab, so 2 times 4x times 1, and then times my b value of 1, and I square it. And then that's going to give me 16x squared, plus this will give me 8x plus 1. So eventually I'll get so good at it that I'll actually skip kind of like this plug-in portion. So looking at number 3, I'm going to actually try that. And since I'm running out of the room, I'm just going to, for my own convenience, I'm going to erase this just so I have more room. So again, I start with, okay, identifying that's my a value and this is my b. And I'll still do the formula a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So instead of substituting in my value, so showing my work, I'll just know that I'm squaring that value of a. So that's going to be 49x squared plus. And then here's kind of a neat trick. So what I'll do is I'll actually multiply the inside and then I'll double it. So 7x times 2 is 14x. And if I double it, that's going to give me 28x. And then I'll go ahead and square the b value, and that'll give me 4. So a little different with number 4 and 5, just because they have extra variables, but it works the same way. So here's my a value, here's my b value, and then I'll go ahead and I'll write in my formula a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Now, because it has 2 variables, maybe I want to go ahead and substitute and show my work. So I've got 8c squared plus 2 times 8c times 3d plus, and then my b value is 3d, and I'll square that. So 8c squared, I know that that's going to give me 64c squared plus, and then 2 times 8c is 16c, and then 16 times 3, that's going to give me, let's see, that's going to give me 48. C and D. And then D squared, or 3D squared, is going to give me 9D squared. So at this point, why don't you guys try number 5 on your own? So hopefully you identified that A is 3x and B is 4y. and I write my formula a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So I'm going to do this in my head. So I know that a is 3x. If I square that, that's 9x squared. And then for my 2ab, I'm going to multiply 3x and 4y together to get 12xy. And then I'll double that to get 24xy. And then my b value is 4y. And if I square that, I get 16y squared. So then the next thing we're going to look at in this video is the square of a difference. And it's honestly, it's the same exact thing. The only difference, no pun intended there, is that there's a subtraction sign. So it's the same formula, just notice that it's minus 2ab because there's minus in the binomial. So it takes that into consideration. So looking at number 6, still this is my a value, here's my b. Because I see subtraction, I know my formula is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. And then just for the sake of practice, I'll substitute in those values, showing all my work. So then I've got 6p squared minus 2 times my a value times my b value. Now, FYI, if you notice, I'm not using a -1 for b because they already take that into consideration in that formula, putting in the minus. So you don't want to kind of count that negative twice. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then I'll do plus and then b squared. And so 6p squared is 36p squared minus 12p and then plus 1. So looking at number 7, again, here's my a, here's my b. And I know my formula, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. And so in my head, I'm going to be squaring a. So that's 9t squared minus. Then I'm going to multiply the inside. So 3t times 4 is 12t. Then I double it, and then that's 24t. And then I'll square the 4, and that gives me 16. So why don't you guys try number 8 on your own? So what's interesting about 8 is that the a is actually the a value, and the 2b is your b value. So when you square your a value, but first I'm going to write my formula here. So when I square a, I do get a squared minus, I'll multiply a and 2b together and then double it to get 4ab. And then I'll square 2b to get 4b squared. And that would be your answer. So keep going and checking your work. So try 9 and 10 on your own. So for number 9, 5x is my a and y is my b. So again, my formula off to the side just as reference. My a value is 5x, and when I square that, I get 25x squared minus, then I'm going to multiply those together, which would just be 5xy. Then I double it, and that's 10xy. And then I square the y, giving me positive y squared. And then finally, number 10, here's my a value, here's my b. I'll write my formula off to the side. And just in case anyone's having a hard time following me in my head, I'm actually going to substitute in each value and show more of my work. So a is 4c, so I'll do 4c and I'll square it, minus 2 times 4c times 8d, and then plus 8d squared. So 4c squared is 16c squared minus, well, 2 times 4c is 8c times 8d. That's going to give me 64cd plus, and then 8d squared is 64d squared.